It's finally time to start firing up the grill. From city to shore, Acme is everything you need to prep for this summer season. Download the Acme app to shop for this season's essentials any way you want. Open the Acme app, clip your deals, then order your items online. An experienced Acme associate will carefully select your groceries, bag your order, and bring it right to your car or deliver right to your door. Download the app or visit acmemarkets.com for program details.
Hi there, I am Adem Kirbas. I am here in Turkey. I am from Ordu. I'm here in Ordu. We are still in the pandemic. I hope you are all doing fine and that we will one day overcome this. However, this is my podcast and we will continue talking about millennials and the millennial cultural backdrop, which I think is very important for us to understand, especially current occurrences as well as current developments within the politics sphere as well as within the society. And today I thought about this, because the millennial age is a bit broad, and today I want to talk about feminism, especially feminism, how it is being viewed, or the woman feminism, especially of the women, how women are being viewed within the society in the millennial age. I will try to compare a little bit to the baby boomers, and this is especially a very crucial part. Because sexuality. I don't know how it is being, or let's say it in that way. In Europe, the left is still comparing themselves to the baby boomer generation, or like we said, the 68er Bewegung in German. They pretty much idolized them. There's even a very, I've forgotten the name. I don't know. I have it with these names, or I forget names, but there was one author once who wrote that everyone who hates this baby boomer generation, this 68er Bewegung, this movement would be or should be considered as far right or conservative or whatever. I don't want to get into it. This was a German author or an author or a female author, I don't know. However, but these comparisons, they are very important, especially in Austria as well as in Germany, and I assume in Europe. However, and one huge issue where they say somehow they scored this for me double generation is especially sexuality, or you could say the LGBTQ community, and then sexuality, their view of feminism. Feminism scores on this movement, or on baby boomers, that they have adopted psychoanalysis, that they used psychoanalysis for Fremantle's sexual revolution, how it has been called, and we said that the sexual revolution actually started before this movement. You could some sort of already witness a change in sexual behavior among the working class, because through the polarity, through those workers who came from all parts of the countries, and they were somehow in a way cramped together, and in this atmosphere, female sexuality could not be hidden anymore. It was not. It did not play behind closed doors anymore. So it was out in the open within the working class. There is actually a lot of literature about this as well. Please note, even though I recommend reading books, I am no more in the University of Vienna. And this means because I am not a student anymore, I don't have any access to very important resources like JSTOR and so on. I mean, this is, even though I think the university is obsolete, nevertheless, access to those online magazines is is indeed very important. So if I cannot suggest you anything, or partially I don't remember the names anymore, because I in general I don't remember names. However, but I would some sort of recommend popular books which I think everyone should read. This is part of your knowledge you should have in your life. It doesn't matter whether you are left or right. Some things you should just read to broaden your horizon and understanding from the world, because nevertheless you have to be aware of one thing, that despite the fact that you may think that some research is biased, let me assuage you, well, it is, no matter who says otherwise. Every research is biased. Nevertheless, there's some sort of scientific approach to every research. So this means beyond being biased, there's always some information you can get which could help you to prosper, because one of the keys which I think is very important for success is understanding your opponent. This is what we are not talked of, or not told often, but this is true, and it was always true. This is the more you understand your opponent or the people around you, the more you will be successful, the more you will be some sort of understanding. And despite in our age, and this is what we talked about in the last time, that there is some sort of shallowness within the society, which may be over exaggerated, but or not. But however, still you will have good chances in such a society which is superficially constructed, if you have some sort of a broader understanding of human psyche and human understanding. However, I mean, I want to talk about briefly the conditions which all started in and compare them. I mean, one thing we talked about in the past is that indeed feminists before, or in general the left, when they, some sort of those baby boomers, this was a different age. This was after the two world wars. The people had seen atrocities of these wars. This is the grand society, and once you see these horrific crimes, it is indeed understandable that you seek some sort of broader understanding within the or morals, that you seek some sort of more morals within the society, or in general want to bring up your children with more in moral values. Remember that the Nazi Empire in Europe, some sort of, or in fascism in general, tried to raise a new human with new human values. The fascists in Italy under Mussolini started it. Then the National Socialists in Germany under Hitler, they copied it and took it farther. There's even one passage within Mein Kampf von Hitler, where he talks about to take away the child of a parent in a young age, and then raise him with the party doctrine. So and you have to be aware of one thing, that the National Socialism, these Nazis, they actually wanted to weaken and partially erase Christianity, because of their view that Christianity would be a Jewish religion, and that they cannot, as good Germans worship a Jew. There's even some reports about some German soldiers, especially the SS, who, when they invaded France, they would immediately destroy crosses and so on, so. And in this climate, it is indeed understandable that this war generation tried to seek some values. So it is not all that we should not all go ahead and butcher them. It is indeed understandable, and like I said, you have to have understanding for this. And and this was not new. Pretty much the same happened in the French Revolution after the atrocities of the French Revolution. People actually cheered Napoleon when he signed the Concordat with the Vatican, because they thought that the only way you can live in peace and prosper is through the religion, through the church. And in France, after the French Revolution, and while Napoleon took power, this actually was true. This was the beginning with 1801, those 2-3 years. This was very prosperous for France, so do not miss it. So it is understandable. This was not that people were just outright conservative pies or whatever. This was really, you could say, after this war, the effect of wars which had, and I said that Nazism, this was special. It was interesting in a way because, I don't want to talk in detail here about what Nazis had actually a very interesting view on woman and womanhood, which to this very day persists partially within the Austrian community and so on. And this view was actually that women would be the preserver of the society, of reproducing the society, and with them would come some moral values to maintain racial purity and so on. This is what still present within the society. You can some sort of grasp this, because you have to be aware. This is not that because that there are so many racists, not at all. You have to be aware that Nazism, these were not just, you would assume, some sort of stupid people or morons who just took over the state. It is rather, and this sadly enough, this was rather very sophisticated people. They were highly intelligent. They knew how to manipulate people, and they knew not only to manipulate but as well as to structure a new society. Like I said, Italian fascism was the role model. They watched it, observed it, and they improved it. This is what they did, and this is, with all its sadness, with all its atrocities and inhumanity, especially the Holocaust. Nevertheless, these were really perfidious people who knew how to manipulate people and whatsoever. But now we are talking about feminism here, and what's the difference. I want to say one thing, and this is because you hear it very often, that there would be no well, let's put it in other words, or let's put that way. Back in the days, feminism was not very popular, or was not in the institution. Now we talked about it, but now in the millennial age, feminism is indeed part of the society. So it is, despite the fact that there are some, I would say, useless debates whether there is a gender pay gap or not. Well, there is one. This is for a fact. There are a lot of statistics that there is a gender pay gap, and I think it does not make sense to justify this in a way or another. Even very good thinkers in our age, some sort of lose themselves in this useless discussion. However, you have to be aware of one thing, that the millennials, they are better off, way better off, and this is very important to mention, because in the university, this is what I witnessed, that there are still women who say, yeah, that women would have it way more difficult. It is for women, it is arduous to accomplish something, and that much did not change. Well, this is true. It is still the women are disadvantaged. Still, we have statistics. Women uh, or fewer women have higher education. Nevertheless, feminism is better off than in the area of baby boomers. Feminist thoughts has made it into the institutions. It is in the mainstream. It is in books, in media, in television. It is true that there are still fewer women in some branches, business branches, but this is rather, especially in some business branches and so on. This has rather to do with the grown or if you are a businessman, or if you a little bit understand of business, then you know that businesses are made with people you trust. You do not make with everyone a business agreement, and and these friendships, these close bonds, they have grown over generations. So if you have a name you can rely on, this means this is some sort of a card you can put on the table. This is your identity, and women were mostly excluded from this. And now, when women came into this new sphere, they are of course excluded. Of course, not only because of grown relationship, but as well as of sexual bias. This is true. Nevertheless, millennial feminism has it easier, because those great thoughts, especially by the second wave of feminism, which I think is to this very day, those women of the second wave of feminism, they were the most successful ones, and that the third wave feminism right now, they have actually not really come close to their accomplishments. I mean, of course, feminism is a very broad topic, and I don't wanna some sort of lose myself in it. But however, to just sum it up, the difference between baby boomers is, and one thing you somehow know, of course, is that the baby boomer generation had just more sophisticated thinkers. I mentioned in France and so, whereas the in the millennial era, feminism rather lost itself in identity politics also, that all those resources, that they are somehow not properly used and so on. However, but what I want to talk about in specific is, because of this fruit, is sexuality. I think we have to talk about the LGBTQ community as well, but this is something I will do in a later episode. But in general, to some sort of differentiate sexuality, or the approach to sexuality between baby boomers and millennials, is, I think, very important. And the condition of baby boomers was, like I said, to some sort of overcome this pious mainstream after the World War, who seek some sort of family values after the atrocities of war. After atrocities of war, they seek some values, and that sexuality then was in a way confined to the home, to the room, and that this sexual revolution, or one key element, was actually to bring sexuality in the center of all attention, and for that female sexuality, this was in the 60s and 70s, whereas millennials in our age, as you might know, are flooded with sexuality. This is not only within the left is some sort of a notion that this would be cunning ad men, like in this TV series Mad Men, so that this would be cunning admins who bring in sexuality to sell any product that they want. Well, this is not true. As well as social media, we talked about it the last time. This new ego fetish in our era that people present with their private lives on social media, but especially their body, because everything has centralized to this aspect, your individuality. This is part of the millennial age, and so you could say that sexualization has taken over society, and this is a way different social condition than the baby boomers had. It is not a question whether you want a free sexuality anymore, because it is already out in the open. But of course, we have to say that mostly women are sexualized. Mostly women you will see naked in ads, and if you always consider some ads, there's a lot of not only ads, but as well as music videos, rap videos. You will find a lot of stuff from that, how women are portrayed. There is even a lot of literature about it. So anyone who is interested in it should definitely check it out. But from millennials, of course, or it is not true that there are some people who think within the left that sexuality would be confined to the private sphere. Well, this is not what is some sort of the fact. This is rather a reaction to what is happening here. So if in an age, again, like before, in an age where you live through over sexualization, of course people will seek to restrain the effect on your children, on yourself as well, because you have to be aware of one thing, that in every society there is always some sort of a contra movement. So if there's over sexualization, then there will be always people who will try to position themselves with social values, and a father or a mother who does not want her daughter or boy or whatever being sexualized, it is not something you should immediately see as a conservative view or whatsoever. So this private sphere, or that sexuality should again be put into a private sphere, this is in a way indeed understandable, but you would not assume that this is conservative or whatsoever, because indeed there are within the left some people who say that this exploitation of women, in a way, this over sexualization of women has a bad influence. You would, there are some studies to that you could partially see or read them. However, there is of course, and this is a fact, and what we want to analyze is how people deal with this fact, or what they advocate, and how do they approach this sexualization. And this is especially of the women. Men are sexualized too, but if you watch closely, men are in a way sexualized. Let's say it's always in combination with success, with beauty or whatever. If you see this in some rap videos, then there's always one man who was in a way successful, and then all these women, and these beautiful women are his prize, or any other other ad or any other sphere. Women are some sort of an accessory. Female sexuality is an accessory. Sorry, you rap into, and it comes with success, with beautiful cars, beautiful homes, and so on. And there is, of course, a different approach between sexuality and among the left, and this is, you could say, some sort of a leftist approach, and this is some sort of stating that the woman, she cannot she cannot escape this male gaze. She cannot escape being objectified by men. This would then lead to an understanding. This has to do with Judith Papa, or with not only Judith Butler, but with other feminist thinkers as well. But so that women would somehow see themselves through their eyes, would be some sort of only exist for this male craving, and that women in a way would not experience their own sexuality. And this goes even so far that some within the left see women, or see that there are so many cases of frigidity, that frigidity would be a sign that women would not love sex or sexual intercourse, and that this goes. And I read some of these papers, and I mean, you can see this what it was, but it has some sort of a foundation in the society, that there's a new term which calls you are asexual in a way. What this really means, I don't know, because if you pay close attention to those concepts of heterosexual, or being heterosexual and being homosexual, one key difference is that your sexuality is being defined by what you crave for. So if you are if you're a straight man, then you crave women, and this is why you are being called straight. And if you're homosexual, then you crave from the same sex, and this is why you called homosexual. Nevertheless, as well as transsexual, of course, nevertheless, asexualism is something which has become the norm. I think I haven't quite understood this form, because this makes those concepts of homosexuality and so on pretty much obsolete. However, in the millennial age, female sexuality is some sort of considered differently. It is an attempt. It is, of course, an attempt to deal with this over sexualization. This is an impact what was brought in it, despite the fact that you are not allowed to make naked pics on Instagram. But if you really watch Instagram, there are a lot of half naked women in bikinis whatsoever, and mostly men follow them. You get aware of it if you read the comment section, and I would warmly suggest to read some of those comments in the comment section of those women. Then you get aware of some instances. So that, however, another attempt is this is as well as started within the left to some sort of counter this sexuality. This is the form of obesity, because this new beauty, or this new over sexualization comes with a new beauty of healthy beauty women, beautiful women who expose themselves on social media. This and the answer, or one answer, another answer is some sort of create a different view of beautiful, and this is obesity, so that obese people would be considered as beautiful as well. I mean, don't don't uh, mistake about it. But however, this is a very interesting topic, and I will probably make an episode uh, or two about this issue. But one thing is true, what one has to say, this is rather a mathematical term, and this is everything that's beautiful is when it is in a proportion. So this is soothing for the eye. This has to do with the fact how your eyes are built, how your eyes, if you watch into a room, then your eyes can perceive depths of a room, and this depths from your point of view always stand in a proportion. I mean, this is called in German the goldene Schnitt, the golden cut, but I think in English it's probably being called differently. However, and in this, well, you can't do anything else than see the world in a proportion, in probation and relations to each other. This is how you see an object, because this is how your eyes are built, period. So this means beauty is partially if something is very symmetric, as well as if something is in proportion. But and beauty is of course something is emotional, because if you only see that a small child, a baby, is actually ugly, it is ugly in that sense. It is not very proportional. It has a huge head, very small limbs. This is not very. This is not beautiful. This is not soothing for your eyes. Eyes, eyes, and you would normally call it ugly, but no one will call a baby ugly, but rather cute. So beauty has emotional investment, is subjective, but as well as has an objective view. However, I wanna talk about this later, because I think this is a very interesting topic, what you crave for, why you crave for, and so on. And of course, another thing which is very common within the left, and which I will probably talk later on as well, is that you some sort of escape in homosexuality, to escape this this view, this male case. This says, I mean, in the university, this is what I experienced. I mean, I'm straight. I'm a straight man. I and I always experienced, when I would say that I'm straight, that people would always scold me. You are part of the majority and so on. So there is, of course, some sort of pressure to be not some sort of to be not part of the mainstream, and this is another big issue within the millennial, so that it is fixation of mainstream, of majority and minority, and everything that's part of the majority is detestable, and everything that's part of the minority, whatever it is likable. I mean, minority as well as if your ethnicity, your ethnic background, and so on. And this ethnic background again plays a very crucial form in feminism. But I think ethnicity and multiculturalism deserves a separate episode. But however, despite the fact that that there are so many answers or some approaches to deal with this over sexualization within the media, and all these attempts attempts. There are of course conservative attempts in Germany, for example. There are some approaches with conservatives, or there is an approach of conservative feminism, which then states, yeah, as a woman you should not present yourself, or it is rather being considered negative if you use some sort of expose yourself on social media or wherever, and rather preserve yourself, and so on. There is of course a conservative feminist movement as well. But however, this feminism or millennial feminism lacks one huge issue, and this is actually very important. This is having a positive view on women and female, or at having a positive view on the female body, as well as on the female sexuality, because to this very day there is rather and the reasons we said are a very negative view on female sexuality, because it would be rather for men, and would be exploitation, but as well as there's a very negative view on female, on the female body. So you so you uh, I'm sorry. So you see some women who pretty much dislike and even disdain the female body, how it appears like, and this is some, you could say, some sort of women take over male behavior, man behavior, whatever this is, as well as they start dressing themselves like man, as well as their haircut. Some feminists still think that a short haircut would mean some sort of emancipation, or it is some sort of again another attempt to flee this gaze male gaze, and some sort of emancipate themselves from this male gaze, from this over sexualization, and this then leads partially to a masculinity of women. They dress like men, they have short hair like men, they walk like men, or try to walk like men. This is the case of inferiority. This is when they have adopted and adapted the scale of man. So how men view them, or this is how they perceive they are being viewed by men. This is how they adopt, and then they dislike being a woman. Then being woman is being considered as inferior, as despicable, and not someone as craving for. And of course, you have to be aware of one thing, and I think Franz Fanon once said that the conquered always take over the religion of the conquerors, and this means, it is beyond doubt then that within the society, men are leading, men are dominant, and that this has indeed some appeal to some people, so that everything that's being considered as dominant is as well as being considered as being successful, and this is then this is something you see in daily life. This is what the feminist literature is about, what many feminists said. This is indeed true. Some women take this, but nevertheless, this so-called cross dressing, and many feminists have advocated to do this. I think this does not lead to anywhere. This is very problematic. First of all, it looks negative stiffly on the female body as well as womanhood in general. I mean, if you some sort of deny your womanhood, or if you want to be try to be someone you are not, this actually leads to some sort of not knowing your own sexuality as well as your self-esteem, and this is even more problematic. And this is what we will talk about as well. Is if you think that gender is created and gender is a social constructed sex, if you think that this is constructed, that this has no foundation in reality, then if you then take over male dresses, if you then take over male behavior, then you help help to maintain this gender role of male dominance, so that feminists, especially in the millennial age, some sort of partially and partially contribute to the perception of man, or that everything that is dominant, that is being considered as strong, is being associated with manness and feminism, despite the fact that they want to fight this. They somehow in or passively support this point of view. However, I mentioned a very important term. This is gender, and I want to talk about very briefly about the difference between sex and gender, which are indeed very important to understand feminism, but as well as, like I said, it is as well as important to understand the male perception, because don't make a mistake about it. This construction or social construction of sexuality applies as well as to man. Especially as a man, you have to act in a certain way. This means, for example, in an act certain way. It is a role model. It is a role model that's been given to you, and then if you can't act like this, for example, I give an example. As a man, everyone expects for you or of you to take care of your family, to be the family head. But what can you do if you become unemployed or whatever, and you can't take care of your family anymore? And this has indeed an effect on your self-understanding as man, and so on. So these are very important issues. This is not only confined to women, but as well as men as well. And I want to start with a very famous quote of Simone de Beauvoir, and she said that that you are not born as a woman, but you are made one. And this is very important to understand, that there is a gender, that, or let's start other ways, that there is a biological sex. This is your genitalia, of course, but this is not only your genitalia, but as well as your the way how your brain works, the whether you have estrogen or testosterone in your veins. This is called biological sex. You could say the fact. So the fact that you are, so it doesn't matter what you think of yourself, whatever, but the fact is what you have, how your brain works, which hormones stream through your body. This determines your biological sex. And the opposite is a social constructed sex. This is called gender, and this is how you behave yourself in public, or the role models the role models that's been brought to you, like we said about man. From man, this applies as well. You as a man have to be the sole breadwinner. You as man have to take care of your woman, and then this is not always easy to some sort of fulfill this expected role model, because with every role model there of course comes.
It's finally time to start firing up the grill. From city to shore, Acme has everything you need to prep for this summer season. Download the Acme app to shop for this season's essentials any way you want. Open the Acme app, clip your deals, then order your items online. An experienced Acme associate will carefully select your groceries, bag your order, and bring it right to your car or deliver right to your door. Download the app or visit acmemarkets.com for program details.